Hey everyone, welcome back to Literate Lens. I'm so glad you're here today because we're diving into one of the most life-changing books ever written. And honestly, if you've ever felt awkward in social situations, struggled to get people to listen to your ideas, or just wished you could connect better with others, this video is going to be gold for you. We're talking about Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. Now, before we jump in, if you love getting powerful insights from books that can actually transform your life, do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button. Trust me, we've got so many incredible book summaries coming your way, and you don't want to miss them. All right, let's get into this. So picture this. It's the 1930s, and there's this guy named Dale Carnegie who's teaching public speaking classes in New York City. And he starts noticing something interesting. People aren't just struggling with speaking in front of crowds. They're struggling with something way more fundamental. They don't know how to deal with people. They don't know how to make friends, how to get others to like them, how to influence people without being manipulative or pushy. And Carnegie realizes this is actually the biggest problem most people face in their lives. Because think about it. Your success in life, your happiness, your relationships, your career, almost everything depends on your ability to work with other people. You could be the smartest person in the room, but if you can't connect with others, if you can't inspire them or get them on your side, you're going to struggle. So Carnegie starts collecting stories, real stories from real people, and he discovers these timeless principles that just work. And here's the beautiful thing. These aren't manipulative tricks. They're based on genuine respect for others and understanding basic human psychology. Let me tell you a story that really captures the essence of this book. There was this guy who had a dog, right? And this dog loved to run around and chase other dogs in the park. Now, legally, the dog was supposed to be on a leash, but the owner would let him run free because the dog was just so happy and playful. One day, a police officer approached him and told him sternly that he needed to keep his dog on a leash or he'd get fined. Now, the owner could have argued. He could have made excuses. But instead, he said something brilliant. He said, "Officer, you're absolutely right, and I'm completely wrong. I know better than this. My dog could get hurt or hurt someone else. I promise it won't happen again." And you know what? The officer's whole demeanor changed. He softened up and said, "Well, I know it's tempting to let them run when there aren't many people around. Just try to keep them on the leash from now on." That story shows you something powerful. When you admit you're wrong quickly and emphatically, the other person has nowhere to go with their anger or frustration. They actually start defending you. But let's go deeper. Carnegie talks about something so fundamental that most of us completely miss it. He says criticism is futile. It puts people on the defensive. It makes them justify themselves. And here's the thing, even if you're right, even if they're totally wrong, criticism doesn't work. There's this famous story about Al Capone, the notorious gangster. You know what Capone said about himself? He said, "I've spent the best years of my life giving people the lighter pleasures, helping them have a good time, and all I get is abuse." This is Al Capone talking, the guy who was responsible for countless crimes. But in his own mind, he was the victim. He was misunderstood. He was just trying to help people have fun. If Al Capone couldn't see himself as wrong, what chance do you have of getting regular people to accept criticism easily? We all have this incredible ability to justify our actions to ourselves. We're all heroes in our own story. So what do you do instead? Carnegie says become genuinely interested in other people. Not fake interested, genuinely interested. Ask them questions, listen to their answers, care about what they care about. There's the story about a guy who wanted to land a huge business deal. He found out the person he needed to persuade collected rare stamps. So before the meeting, he mentioned that his son collected stamps too, and he asked for advice. The executive spent over an hour showing him his collection, talking about his passion. They barely discussed business, but guess what? He got the deal. Why? Because he made the other person feel important and valued. And this is so relevant to us today, right? We're all scrolling through social media, posting about ourselves, hoping people will notice us. But Carnegie figured out almost 100 years ago that the secret to being interesting is being interested. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Let me give you another one. Smile. It sounds so simple, right? But think about how you feel when someone genuinely smiles at you versus when someone looks at you with a blank or grumpy face. A smile says, "I'm happy to see you. You matter to me." It's like giving someone an emotional gift. And here's something that hit me hard when I first read this book. Your name. Carnegie says a person's name is the sweetest sound to them in any language. When someone remembers your name and uses it in conversation, don't you feel seen? Don't you feel valued? But when someone forgets your name or doesn't bother to learn it, it stings a little, doesn't it? Now let's talk about arguments. Carnegie has this powerful principle. You can't win an argument. Think about that. Even if you prove the other person wrong with facts and logic, you still lose because you've made them feel inferior, you've humiliated them, and they'll resent you for it. They'll dig their heels in even deeper. There's this story about a car salesman who used to argue with customers all the time. He'd prove them wrong about technical details, show off his knowledge, and he wondered why his sales were terrible. Then he read Carnegie's book and changed his approach completely. When a customer said something incorrect, instead of arguing, he'd say, "That's an interesting point. I used to think the same thing, but then I discovered something fascinating." And his sales shot up. Why? Because he let people save face. He made them feel smart, not stupid. Here's another game changer. If you're wrong, admit it quickly and emphatically. Don't defend yourself, don't make excuses, just own it. There's something disarming about someone who says, "You know what, I totally messed up. That was my fault and I'm sorry." It takes all the wind out of the other person's anger. And when you want to change someone's mind or get them to do something, don't just tell them what to do. Ask them questions that lead them to the conclusion you want. Let them think it was their idea, because people support ideas they feel they created. There's this psychological principle called ownership bias. We value things more when we feel we contributed to them. Carnegie tells this story about a father whose son wasn't doing well in school. Instead of lecturing him, the father sat down and asked, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" The son said he wanted to be a radio engineer. So the father asked, "What kind of education do you think a radio engineer needs?" And the son started talking about needing good grades in math and science. He figured it out himself, and his grades improved because it was his idea, not his father's demand. This works in relationships too. Instead of nagging your friend about being late all the time, you could ask, "Hey, I've noticed we've been missing the start of movies lately. What do you think we could do differently?" Let them come up with the solution. They're way more likely to follow through. Here's something beautiful. Carnegie talks about letting people save face. Even when you're right and they're wrong, give them a way out that preserves their dignity. A manager once had to fire someone for poor performance. But instead of just saying, "You're fired," he said, "I think you have talents that aren't being used here. This role might not be the best fit for you. What if we helped you find something that matches your strengths better?" Same outcome, but the person left feeling respected rather than humiliated. And this principle, it might be the most powerful one. Talk about what the other person wants, not what you want. Show them how they benefit. There's this story about Carnegie trying to get his son to stop smoking. He didn't lecture him about health risks. Instead, he mentioned that the high school baseball coach said he wouldn't put anyone on the team who smoked. The son wanted to make the team, so he quit. Same goal, different approach. We do this wrong all the time. We tell people why we want them to do something. Clean your room because I said so. But what if you said, "Hey, wouldn't it be nice to be able to find your things easily? And your friends would think your room is so cool when they come over." Now there's a reason they care about. Carnegie also talks about making people feel important and doing it sincerely. Everyone craves appreciation. We all want to feel like we matter. But most of us are starving for genuine recognition, not fake flattery, but real, specific appreciation. There's this story about a manager who transformed her team's morale just by noticing the small things people did well and thanking them for it. "Hey, I noticed you stayed late to help finish that project. That really made a difference. Thank you." People would literally work twice as hard because they felt seen and valued. And here's the thing. You don't manipulate people with these principles. You genuinely start caring about others. You genuinely start seeing the good in them. And when you do that, something magical happens. People start responding to you differently. They like you more. They trust you more. They want to help you. Let me tell you one more story that really captures this. There was a postal worker who had a horrible reputation. He was rude, slow, unhelpful. Everyone complained about him. Then one day, a guy decided to try Carnegie's principles. Instead of getting frustrated, he smiled at the postal worker. He asked him how his day was going. He thanked him for his help, even when it was minimal. And slowly, over time, this postal worker transformed. He started being friendlier. He started being more helpful. Not because anyone forced him to, but because someone finally treated him like a human being who mattered. That's the power of these principles. They don't just change how others see you. They change how you see others. And that changes everything. Now, Carnegie isn't saying you should be a doormat. He's not saying you should never stand up for yourself. What he's saying is that there's a way to stand up for yourself, to get what you want, to influence people, while still respecting their dignity and making them feel valued. Think about the best leaders you know, the people you'd do anything for. Are they the ones who criticize and demand? Or are they the ones who inspire you, who make you feel capable, who genuinely care about you? I bet it's the second type.
These principles work in every area of your life, with your friends, with your family, with your colleagues, with strangers you meet. Because at the end of the day, we're all just human beings who want the same basic things. We want to be understood. We want to be valued. We want to feel important. We want to be respected. And when you give people those things, when you genuinely care about them and show it through your actions, they naturally want to be around you. They naturally want to help you. They naturally want to support your ideas. I've been practicing these principles since I first read this book, and I'm telling you, they work. Not in a manipulative, sleazy way, but in a genuine, transformative way. My relationships have improved. My conversations are better. People respond to me differently. And the beautiful thing? This isn't about changing who you are. It's about becoming the best version of yourself. The version that brings out the best in others too. So here's my challenge to you. Pick just one principle from this book. Maybe it's smiling more. Maybe it's remembering people's names. Maybe it's admitting when you're wrong. Maybe it's becoming genuinely interested in others. Just pick one and practice it for the next week. Watch what happens. And if this video gave you some valuable insights, if you feel like you learned something that could actually change your life, please hit that like button and drop a comment telling me which principle resonated with you the most. I read every single comment and I love hearing from you. And seriously, if you haven't already, subscribe to Literate Lens. We're building an incredible community of people who love learning from books, who want to grow and become better versions of themselves. And we've got so many amazing book summaries coming up that are going to blow your mind. Remember, life is too short to read every book, but it's too precious not to learn from them. That's what we're here for, to give you the most powerful insights so you can apply them and transform your life. Until next time, keep reading, keep growing, and keep spreading those good vibes. I'll see you in the next video.